Hi, I'm Stephen Cronin. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this sort of misty woods type scene. Now I've only used two colours in this, ultramarine and Payne's grey. So it's a very limited palette, but I've tried to do that to help create plenty of mood and atmosphere. Just a sort of lit path snaking through the dark woods, and we've got a couple there heading off into the light beyond. But before I show you how I painted this, let's just have a quick look at the materials. So the colours were just ultramarine and Payne's grey. The only two brushes I used were the large Ron Ranson Ake and a little number 3 rigger brush, and the paper is measures 15 by 11. So I'm starting off, this is just clean water all over the paper, nice and wet, just soften off the background, stop the paper from going all crinkly. I'm just going to a bit more water on the brush. I'm going to go a bit of ultramarine and a bit of Payne's grey. Start. I'm thinking just want to sort of lit area around here somewhere. So a bit more water. Let's just work out where our light's going to be. I'm thinking somewhere along there. So it's just the same two colours, it's just ultramarine, Payne's grey, just various mixes. Sometimes a bit more blue, sometimes a bit more grey. And I might just be catching, I'm not meant to be hitting the cad yellow, right? If you do see any on the page, it's just an accidental, because I got the yellow between the two colours there. So, bit more water. Again, just blue, bit of grey. Bit more on this side. And a little bit more. And then the horizon lies down, right down here somewhere. So let's just go a little bit darker where the ground's going to be, somewhere along there. Well, I think that's about as much as I think I'm going to do now with the background. So what I'm going to do now is switch to the rigger brush. First I'm just going to put a little bit of water on the palette, and then switch to the little rigger brush, number 3 rigger. I'm just going to mix the same two colours, bit of blue, bit of Payne's grey. And then I'm going to start putting in the distant trees. These will be the furthest ones we can see when we peer through the more foreground trees. And already, the first thing I'm thinking is I didn't wet the paper enough, but it's not going to be a problem. So this area, it's almost dry already. See, look, if I put that on, it's just dry. That is. I need it wet so that it just softens off. It's not a problem. I can work with that. So a few more distant trees in first, and then what I'll do next is just pull the paper tight where it's stretched. And just see it's starting to come away from the board, so it just needs flattening. In fact, I'll do that now. And all it is. Just pull it tight against this piece of plywood and refix it, just so that it's flat against the board. That'll do. So that's what I call the first layer of trees. Next I'm going to put some in using the height brush. So I don't want too much water because part of the paper is still quite wet. So let's see what it looks like. I've just mixed the same two again, Payne's Grey, Ultramarine. I'm just using like a sort of chisel edge just to put in more trees. And down there. Don't put them all nice and symmetrical, you know. Put them growing in all different directions and crossing one another like this. It'll just look artificial. Right there like that. And again, I'm not pressing down too hard because I want these to be fairly thin because there's another layer to go in front of these. These aren't the closest ones to us. The closest ones will have the strongest mix. So this is what I'd say these like sort of middle distant ones. A few more over on this side. Maybe even one even coming into this little area there in the middle. And then what I'll do with these ones, because these are a little bit closer, we can see a few twigs here and there. I'm just going to pop in a few twigs and branches. Always most effective. See that going across the lit area? To maximise that contrast. And then what I'm doing, I'm picking up the paint that's already on the paper and just spreading it around really. So if the paper was dry I wouldn't be able to do this because I'd have to keep reloading the brush like so. Put a few more down there like that. And then once I've finished putting all these twigs and branches in, before I put the next layer on, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to define where the land lies. So I'm just going to dry the brush. Just a little bit of colour. And then say if we have, imagine like that's like a little path going up and it sweeps around there like that. Up there like that, just slightly elevated on the right hand side, just to vary it. I don't want it perfectly horizontal, just trying to vary it a little bit. So you can imagine like the path that comes round there like that, and then down there like that. So there's our composition now. It's slowly starting to take shape. So the next thing I'm going to do, in fact while this is quite dry, I might even a little bit of dry brushwork there on these twigs, just a little bit of, a few leaves you can see on the trees. Being very careful because this is our lit area in the middle, so I wanted this to be very very light in tone. What I'm doing, I'm just dabbing with using the corner. It's quite a dry brush, so now I'm not going to block it all in. So that's what I'd say like the first two layers of trees, and then for the third and final layer I'm going to do the foreground ones now. You want the paper a little bit drier, so I think it's dried naturally. I don't need to use the hairdryer. All I've done, I've just dipped the corner of the brush in the water just to loosen it all up again, but I want this to be a very strong, this is the strongest mix now of the three. This one, plenty of paint, less water. Generally say just enough water to hold all the hairs together, you don't need any more than that. It's just Payne's Grey, Ultramarine, nice and strong. So where should we put our foreground tree? So I'm going to have one down there, should have one down there, going up there like that. Have another one up there, going up there. Let's have something cutting across there, just cutting right across that lit area, just to maximise the contrast. Something up there. there like that. A big one in the foreground now, a really big one there, going up there like that. Going right way down. This one's going behind it. A slightly thinner one, just filling in that gap there. So let's switch. Just going to switch to the little brush again. And this one. Just maximising that contrast. Always try and get your lights, your darks going straight across your lights, just like that. Just straight into that lit area. Once I put a few branches on, I don't want too many, and then use a dry brush, and then I'll just put a few leaves on here and there. So all I'm doing, I'm just squeezing the water out of it, take the rest off on the tea towel. And just go into those two colours again. Ultramarine, Payne's grey, and just tap in a few leaves here and there. Something coming. Some more leaves up there. Some along there like that. I think that's all I need for that. It's just sort of grounding some of these tree bases, so they don't look as if they're just floating. Well, I think we need some shadows next. So I need to bring all the hairs back together now on the brush. So I've just dipped the corner of the brush in just to bring the hairs back together. And I'm going to make same two colours, but this will be like for shadows now. So again, just Payne's grey, just the same two colours. Payne's grey, ultramarine. And then what I'm going to do, just the sun's up here, just out of shot, and I'm just going to follow this line down, pop some shadows in. Just darken these slightly. So the sun's coming up there like that, and just cut it straight across. Just darken these slightly. Also, I want to put a few little shadows I'm just taking some of that paint off on this tissue. Just quite a few little shadows amongst the trees. Down there. Just get that a little bit darker. Yeah, same two colours, the only two colours I've used in this painting. A bit of ultramarine, a bit of Payne's grey. It's just trying to define this path a bit more. Little stones here and there. On this side as well, just the odd little stone. Maybe just a little bit there. I'm just wetting it so I can scrape it out. I'm just very conscious that it's so easy to overdo it with this scraping. Look. Pull it out slightly. So I think what I'm going to do next is just put a couple of little figures in. I think just needs a focal point. So back to the little brush, and let's just put a just right there. I think. Just there. I'm starting off with a man. Basically just like a sort of carrot shape really. Just do a couple and then a woman next to him, just slightly smaller. Again, just a little carrot. And just put them right next to one another, just if they're walking together, sort of arm in arm. And then I'm just going to put a little shadow in there. And then last but not least, we've got our little bird somewhere up there. And then finally, I find it quite cool, I'm just going to stick my name down there. I'm going to call that one finished. So let's see what it looks like with the mount on. So here's our painting in its mount, so let's go in and have a closer look at it. So I've just used the two colours, ultramarine and Payne's grey, and just started by wetting the paper, brushing the mixing, sort of darkish blue mixing from either side, but remembering to try and preserve this lit area coming straight down the middle of the scene. Then it was a case of adding the trees. Now I've done them in 3 layers. The first, you see the most distant ones here, put in with the rigger brush. You can just about see them through the big foreground trees. So like just here, see how far away they look, because the paper was painted in when it was still wet. The second layer, like these ones here, use a chisel edged hake, and these were put in. Paper's a little bit dry, paint was a bit stronger, so you can see just those ones there, just pushing these ones further and further back into the distance. Then we got our big foreground trees put in using the thickest paint mix of the 3. Less water, more paint, really dark, so yeah, the sort of silhouettes, pushing them right across the lit area of the sky, deliberately doing that to maximise the contrast. And the more the contrast you can get in your painting, the more sort of drama you can create. With all the trees in place, then it was time to put the shadows in, so you can see them running across the land there. Not quite so well defined on this side, it's all pretty much very sort of darkish tone. And then I wanted a few sort of shadows and darker areas on the horizon line, Just like this one here, I've just sort of pushed it. It also helps define the path. See how figures just walking into the lit area. Loads of shadow here on this little right hand, not just the foreground, but right into the background as well. Sort of the land just gently slopes upwards. A few little rocks scraped in here and there, but the paint was pretty dry at this stage. I can see that's why it hasn't really got down to the white of the paper. And like that one there. Again, I struggled a bit to scrape them out because it was dry, but then maybe it helps keep it a bit more subtle. This one worked pretty well. I like just catching it there with the right hand side under shadow. Bit of dry brushwork in the trees to suggest a few leaves here and there. And then we got our path there snaking its way through the woods up to our young couple there walking off into the light. Well, that's it for today's paint. I hope you like that. Don't forget to keep practicing. Very best of luck to you, and I'll see you again soon.